She's 70, he's 45. At first glance, it's a story of an impossible connection that defies time and social norms. But in the world of the neighborhood, everything turns out to be much deeper and more complex. Thomas, a mature man trapped in the body of a teenager, looks at his mother, long dead in his present time, and sees in her not just a parent, but a woman in the prime of life, full of hope and hidden sadness. This is The Neighborhood, a metaphysical drama about second chances, where age is just a number on paper, and true feelings are measured by the depth of understanding and forgiveness. The story begins with Thomas, tired of the drabness of his adult life, accidentally returning to the town of his childhood and waking up in the past. He relives those days when the world seemed vast, but now his mind is filled with the experience of someone who knows how quickly stars fade and how easy it is to destroy what took years to build. Society sees him as a child, but within him lives a soul searching for answers to questions that have tormented him for decades. Finding himself in the 1960s, Thomas doesn't simply observe his family. He becomes an active participant in a drama he once overlooked due to his childish naivety. His mother, young and beautiful, surrounds him with care, unaware that before her is her own son from the future, who mourned her many years ago. Thomas feels not only filial love awakening within him, but also a deep human compassion for a woman whose destiny is about to crumble. Beneath the surface of the ordinary family idyll, he detects unspoken longing and tension between his parents. His father, whose future disappearance became the central trauma of his life, now stands before him as a living person with his weaknesses and dreams of escape. Thomas understands that this is his only chance, to talk to his father man to man, to try to understand the motives of his actions, and perhaps to prevent a catastrophe that will divide their lives into before and after. The adult mind within a young man's body creates a surprising resonance in his relationships. Thomas behaves differently. He's calmer, wiser, and more attentive to the little things that other teenagers ignore. His first love, a school friend, senses a strange attraction in him because he speaks to her not like a boy, but like a man who understands the value of sincerity. A connection develops between them, based not on hormones, but on deep emotional connection. Thomas tries to savor this moment of self-discovery, but the shadow of his father's impending departure haunts him. He begins spending more and more time with his father, trying to become the anchor that will keep him in the family. It's a struggle for someone else's soul, where at stake is not only his mother's well-being, but also the integrity of Thomas himself, who has felt like a wreck all his life. Meanwhile, an invisible pressure builds in the house. Thomas sees his father suffocating in the cramped confines of provincial life and understands that his departure is not simply a betrayal, but an attempt to save himself from internal destruction. His mother, despite her outward calm, also senses the approaching storm. Thomas is torn between the desire to save their marriage and the realization that some people are simply not meant to share a journey to the very end. His adult wisdom becomes a curse. He sees the ending of this play, but still hopes to change the script. He tries to reach out to his father through shared activities, through quiet conversations in the garage, through moments that should have been the foundation of their connection. But reality proves harsher than any plans, and Thomas begins to understand that fate is not just a confluence of circumstances, but also the conscious choice of each person, which cannot be influenced from the outside. The nearness of the fateful day pushes Thomas to the limits of his emotional strength. He puts his new teenage reputation at risk by pursuing his father and trying to prevent his departure. At these moments, the film reaches its peak tension. It's no longer just a nostalgic journey, but a furious struggle with the inevitable. Thomas confronts a truth that proves far more painful than his childhood fantasies of resentment. He sees his own reflection in his father, a man who once wanted to give up everything and start over. This realization brings him a bitter liberation. He understands that love for his parents shouldn't be held hostage to their mistakes. The film offers no easy way out. It shows that forgiveness is the most difficult and important act a person can perform, even if it means traveling back 40 years into one's own past. At the end, as time inexorably returns Thomas to his real-life 2010, he discovers that the world around him remains the same, but his inner cosmos has been completely reborn. He returns to his wife and children not as a weary cynic, but as a man who has rediscovered the meaning of life. His trip to the distant neighborhood of his childhood taught him the most important thing. The past cannot be changed, but it can be accepted and integrated into the present, making it a source of strength, not pain. He looks at his life with new eyes, appreciating every breath and every smile of his loved ones, because now he knows for sure. Time flies, but the heart remains young as long as it is capable of love and forgiveness. This is a story about the awakening of the soul, the courage to face your fears, and how true love always finds a way to remind you of itself, even when the world tells you it's too late.